welcome to Home and Hobbies. Today I'm going to be talking about my review of the 4052R John Deere tractor. We bought this about a year ago. Since then we've put about 100 hours on the machine. This is a 2016 John Deere 4052R. The 4052R is John Deere's 52 horsepower tractor. I think it actually pulls 50.8 horsepower through the engine, and the PTO runs at about 40 horsepower through the PTO. So if you're looking at implements to run off the PTO, they need to be about 40 horsepower or less. In the last year or so, we've done different projects. You'll see some of those clips. We've cleared out a decent amount of trees, dug up the stumps, moved all of those trees after cutting them up and stacked them, dug out the stumps including the roots, and moved those out. We've done some plowing. We've done a decent amount of work with the backhoe, which I'll talk about in a second. And then in particular we use the front end loader here a ton. This tractor is the H180 front loader. That front loader is not the self-leveling version that John Deere has. This is an older version that they have that does not do self-leveling, so keep that in mind if you're in the market for a John Deere tractor. H's are not self-leveling. The bucket that is on here is called a 4-in-1 bucket. It is designed to be a little bit more versatile than just a normal fixed bucket. It's a little bit thicker steel too, and we'll talk about the features that are in this front end bucket. This in particular has been one of the coolest parts about the tractor. The 4-in-1 bucket essentially allows you to do digging, loading, grading, and grappling, so you don't need to switch out your front end implement to a box blade, a regular bucket, or even a grapple hook. It's designed to do all four with one implement. Now I will say that it doesn't do any one of those tasks as well as the design implement does it, but it does do all four of them decently well, enough so that if you're not doing it professionally, it's useful not having to switch out that many different implements, as well as not having to purchase that many different implements. Alright, so this 2016 4052R does come with a quick detach front end bucket, so that you can quickly detach the bucket, put on pallet forks, any other front end implement that you want to put on. Just the front end loader has two pins, one on each side that you take out. If it does have a hydraulic line running to the front like this bucket does, or if you have a grapple, if you've got a third hydraulic line running to it, you can quickly just take off that hydraulic line. It is quick detach hydraulic lines, and then you just simply roll your bucket out of the front end loader and you can switch to a different implement. I do really enjoy that because we do often switch from this bucket to the pallet forks. Oftentimes we're unloading fairly heavy duty equipment or shipments off of a truck, and those pallet forks come in handy. We also have a diesel tank that allows us to keep diesel at home to refill the tractor and the other equipment that we have, and you can lift that with pallet forks. So we do switch out between the 4-in-1 bucket and the pallet forks fairly often. We bought this tractor, we did buy it with the 485A backhoe attachment. It is different than the 485 backhoe attachment. That A essentially means that it is a little bit heavier duty, so it can handle a little bit more weight. It can handle the hydraulic pressure from a larger tractor without necessarily bending some of the cylinders. So the cylinders in particular are a little bit beefier, as well as the frame itself, than just the 485. I'll give you my honest assessment of the 485 in a second. It is one of the most used pieces of equipment that we have on this tractor. So far we've done a lot of digging, a lot of stump clearing, just to kind of clear out some of the land so that we can use it for buildings or for food plots for hunting purposes. Overall, the 485A has some flaws, and if you go through some of the John Deere forums, you'll see a lot of people talking about those flaws. In particular, this bucket cylinder right here, it really likes to bend. Even if you do not use the tractor in higher RPMs than you should, you keep it at 1700 RPMs, 1900 RPMs, you can still bend this bucket cylinder, and it does like to bend fairly easily, which is a little bit surprising that John Deere would build a cylinder that is weak enough to be fairly easily built by the tractors that it's designed to be used with. So when you are using the 485A, you do want to be careful how much torque you're putting on the bucket, specifically on that cylinder. It will bend. The cool thing about the 485A is how quickly it does attach and detach. It does add a lot of length to the tractor, so sometimes if you're going to fit in the woods and you're trying to turn around in tight spots, this thing can get in the way. So it only does take about 10 minutes or so to take this off or even hook it back up. I don't know if John Deere qualifies it as quick attach, but it is fairly quick. It's got a couple pins in it, a few hydraulic lines, and then you can simply lower the unit off and take it off, put it back on within about 10 minutes or so as well. On the passenger side of the vehicle, this is where all of your front end hydraulic lines run. So if you do have to, or if you want to take off the full front end loader, which is again a quick detach front end loader, you can take off the entire arms. That is where you have those quick detach hydraulic lines. They also come standard with plugs, so that you can plug those so they don't get dirt while you have the front end loader off of the vehicle. You have your fuel filter down there. You also have your oil filter down there as well. So if you're ready to swap out any of the fluids in the vehicle, that's where you'll find those. Underneath this side, you've got the access to the battery box. So if for some reason you need to jump the vehicle, or if you want to run something off the battery, you'll find it in there. The John Deere does have 2 headlights up at the front, as well as 2 spotlights in the front. They are halogen lights, so they're not the brightest. I have seen that you can swap them out with LEDs. I have not done that yet, but it is probably a pretty good idea to switch those to LEDs. It also comes with flashers and blinkers on the front and on the back, so that if you're running down the roadway, you can signal that you're turning, or put your flashers on if you're running slow for the roadway. The 4052R is a diesel vehicle, and it does come standard with a DPF, which is a diesel particulate filter, to capture some of those diesel byproducts before it releases it into the air. It's like an EPA thing to make it burn a little bit cleaner for the environment. What that means is that this vehicle has a regen function. So every so often, when the filter gets clogged up enough, you have to run the vehicle at a high RPM to get it hot enough to break down those particles before it releases it into the air. The tractor does let you know when the regen function has to run when the filter gets clogged enough. It will give you a warning on the dash. It will actually automatically rev up the RPMs to hit that level. I think it's 2600 RPMs or above. And then naturally, if you run your vehicle at that RPM level or higher, it will just burn off those particles itself, so you won't hit that regen function for a lot longer. If you're running your vehicle at a low RPM, maybe you're not using implements, maybe it's more just roadway travel, you will hit that regen sooner than if you're running it at a high RPM. But either way, your tractor will let you know. I don't have enough evidence either way to know if it's a good or bad thing. I have heard some people say that they don't like the regen function. It just puts wear and tear on the engine. But the only alternative to that I'm aware of is you need DEF liquid in your vehicle. This vehicle does not need DEF. You only run diesel through it, and it has that regen function to help with those EPA standards. The John Deere does come with a hydrostatic transmission, which means that you don't need to shift gears to go forward, backwards. It is just one transmission that allows you to go between those. You do have 2 pedals here, the forward pedal and the reverse pedal. You can switch between these. This is in contrast with like the Kubota, which has a rocker pedal. So you'll have the forward pedal where your toes are, and you'll have the reverse where your heel is. I've driven both Kubotas and John Deere's. I do enjoy the side-by-side pedal here a little bit more than the rocker pedal. The rocker pedal just is honestly a workout on your calf if you're driving it for long enough. So this is a little bit more comfortable where you can just rest your foot and switch just like a car back and forth between it. Over here we do have the dual control brake pedals. These brake pedals do control the brakes on both sides of the vehicle. If you do brake and you want to turn a little bit quicker, you can just take this latch and push it up, which separates the two pedals, so you can press down one brake and turn a little bit quicker to the right, or press down the other brake, turn a little bit quicker to the left. Most of the time I do run with the brake pedals with that latch down, so at the same time it will just brake both pedals regardless of where you push. Steering wheel doesn't have any unique features on it. It is just like a regular steering wheel. Over here we do have the 2-wheel to 4-wheel lever. So if you want this running in 2-wheel, you'll keep it down, push it up for 4-wheel. Generally I'll run with 2-wheel up until the point where it gets real sticky or muddy and I'm starting to get stuck or I'm sliding, then I'll put it up into 4-wheel. You do not want to drive 4-wheel at a high rate of speed. You got your window washer fluid control here. So you do have a windshield wiper up here for this cab version. This is where you can turn that on. You can also push it in just for the fluid to spray out and clean it. Honestly, they could have improved the window washing fluid here. That spray does not really spray the full windshield. We'll show you that in a second. On this side over here, we've got the RPM or the throttle control. Pushing it up just like usual, we'll run it at a higher RPM. Keeping it down, we'll run it at a lower RPM. Over above that, we've got the headlight controls. We've got the hazard lights here. This is to turn off or cancel that regen function that I was mentioning. So if you cannot allow the tractor the 20 or so minutes to complete the regen function, you can cancel it. Now I will say, if you do cancel it enough times, I'm told that you will actually throw an error on the tractor and it will not start up, and then you'll need to call somebody out, or you'll have to clean that filter out yourself before it will start up. Typically I will just let the tractor let me know when the regen function needs to run. Up on here on the dash, you'll see the exact same symbol here start flashing here, and that tells me that the regen function does need to run, that the filter is clogged up enough. It will auto kick on unless you cancel it. If you do ever want to run the regen function yourself for some reason, maybe it's a little bit more convenient to run it before the end of the day and you know it's gonna need it before the end of the day, you can manually start the regen function, or like I said earlier, you can just throttle it up high enough to where the RPM is over, I think it's 2600 RPM, and it will burn off those particulates itself. Up above here we've got blinker controls. If you want to blink left, if you're driving on the road and you want to indicate you're turning left, you can press this. Right, you can press this. And this is like your mode button to switch your display to different modes. I'll show you the dashboard display here in a second. I just have the engine turned off right now for noise levels. Over here on the left-hand side of the vehicle, we've got our parking brake. To turn the parking brake on, you'll simply pull up on the lever until it clicks. To release it, you press down the button and release it down to turn off the parking brake. Again, just pull it up until it clicks to turn it on. On the left-hand side here, next to it or above it, we've got our gear control. Right now I'm in B gear, which is going to be the main gear. If you do want to switch it to C, this would be used for road gear purposes only when you want to travel at a high rate of speed. I believe the max speed for this vehicle is around 20 miles an hour. So if you are traveling on normal roadways where it's 40, 45, 50, just keep that in mind, that you will be traveling significantly slower. B gear is the main gear for most of your work that you're going to be doing in this tractor. It's, if you can think about it, it's almost like your second gear. Then you've got your neutral. If you want to kick it down in neutral for whatever reason, if you're working on the tractor. And then you also have A, or your low gear. This is good if you are stuck and you do want to run it in low gear. This is also needed if you want to use the John Deere rear hitch assist, which is a really cool feature on these John Deeres. On the right hand side, we've got an armrest here that's raised. You can raise and lower it. We've got our front end control, just a regular front end control. This is fairly comfortable in the hand. They do shape it in a way that's a little bit different than just the normal joystick shape like a Kubota tractor is. And then you do have the thumb control switch if you have that third hydraulic line running to the front end for a grapple or that 4-in-1 bucket. You do have the control up here to control that. Simply hold down the button to open or close your third CV. We do have the hitch control here, which will allow you to lower the hitch, raise it up, and then you do have a lock which allows you to lock in the hitch to where you cannot lower or raise it from here. Okay, so over here for our right hand controls, we've got the PTO switch. To engage it, you pull up on it. To disengage it, you press down on it just like a regular PTO. We got our dial here, which is like our cruise control. So over here we've got the tractor with the short arrow. When you dial it all the way to the right, it means when you come off of the gas, this is going to stop your tractor quickly when you come off, as soon as you come off the gas. The middle dial would be normal, where it stops fairly normal for a tractor. And the left would be where you cruise to a stop slowly. So if you are doing a lot of road conditions and you don't need to stop fairly quickly, you can set it to like your vehicle where it cruises or slows to a stop instead of more abruptly. I generally keep it in the middle or more towards the right hand side, so that when I'm using the front end loader or a back attachment implement, I can quickly stop if I need to, if I run into a situation like that. We've got our right hand controls above that. This control, I usually leave it on. This is a loader assist control. So what that means is if you have a lot of weight on your front end loader, let's say you're hauling rocks or dirt, and you're driving up a hill, this is going to prevent your engine from stalling out. It's going to match your engine RPM with your load, so that way you do not stall out. This is your E control. So what this means is when you press down your accelerator, either front or back, it will automatically raise your RPMs to match based on how far you depress that pedal. If I turn this off and I hit the gas, nothing happens, and I have to manually use the throttle to raise my RPMs. So this is like a vehicle where you press down the forward or the reverse pedal harder and you accelerate more. This one allows you to set your max limit for speed. So if you've got somebody who's operating the tractor who you don't want them going at a high rate of speed, you can set that limit to whatever you want. You can increase it or decrease it with these two buttons. This top button allows you to set your cruise control. So if you're cruising down the road and you want to maintain the speed without pressing on the accelerator, you can set your cruise control here. Again, raise it or decrease it with these two buttons as well. Finally, this toggle switch allows you to run constant hydraulic fluid to your back end implement. So if you have something that's running instead of off of PTO, off of hydraulic fluid, and you want to keep it running all the time, you can turn this on or turn this off. There's plenty of other space built in for additional toggles or switches. You can pop these out and wire it in. There are various kits that you can install for that. Also for your front end loader, I forgot to mention, but you can lock your front end loader. You can pull this out to unlock it, and allows you to raise or lower your front end. And then you can also depress it in, which will prevent you from moving it. So again, just another safety feature, so that you don't accidentally move it if you're, say, working near your front end loader. You can't lower it that way. On this tractor, you do have a side door here that it can open up, so if you're sitting somewhere and you need a little bit of air, or if you need to talk to somebody on your passenger side, you can open this up. I'm a little disappointed that John Deere doesn't have a control arm that keeps this open, so if you do take your hand off of it, it will just close on its own. It would be nice if they had a control arm. I have seen some aftermarket parts that you can buy and install yourself for that. Whereas your main door does stay open. It does have that control arm down here. as well as a handle here to help you get in and out of the vehicle. Your rear window does open up, although I do have that backhoe attachment right now attached, so it will prevent it from opening up all the way. And it does have a control arm on both sides of the rear window to keep it open if you want to operate with that open. The 4052R cab version does have heat and AC. It does work pretty well. The controls are fairly straightforward there. And then finally, the 4052R cab version does have a built-in radio and speaker system. The unfortunate side of this model, even in 2016, it doesn't allow you to Bluetooth connect to it. So if you want to play any music from your phone, it doesn't allow you to do that. It does just operate like a normal radio. Okay, so we're about to show you how to use the 485A. A couple of things before you do that. You have to take out some pins, some clips that you'll keep in there while it's in storage before you use it. So on each leg, you'll see one clip here, one pin here, and on the back of it, you just take out the pin. Take that out. In the middle of the backhoe attachment, you'll have this pin, which will stop it from rotating or swinging side to side. And then finally, you'll have a retention pin here as well that you can take out, and this will allow the backhoe to lower its arms. Sometimes these pins will have a little bit of retention on them just from the equipment settling down, and so you might have to actually turn on the tractor, move the joysticks around just to get these pins out before you can get started. So when you're using this piece of equipment, you always want the arms down so that the weight is a little bit further out and off your back wheels. You should see those wheels come up a little bit before you start using the backhoe. You also want your front end loader to be all the way down with the pressure down, again just to help stabilize the equipment to prevent it from rolling or moving. You have two levers to control the base of it. As soon as the tires come off the ground, that's what you're looking for. You want to keep it as level as possible. Now you'll have two joysticks here that you can operate the equipment with. The left-hand joystick will lower and move side to side. The right-hand joystick controls the extension arm as well as the bucket. Again, just a note, the tractors are more powerful than the cylinders, so you want to run these at a lower RPM, probably below 1700 RPM, and you want to move slowly. You don't want to get in the place where you're leveraging the bucket to pop or push. You never want to push with the bucket. So if you're like me and you're wondering, will this thing fit in your garage? We do have an 8-foot door here, regular 8-foot door garage, and it barely fits. I think it's 94 inches to the height, or 95 inches to the height. So what we actually had to end up doing was cutting out the seal that runs atop the garage where I back the tractor in, and it does just barely fit through an 8-foot door. You know, inside I think we have 12-foot ceilings, but the door was the limiting factor for us. So we are able to park this inside the garage as long as we took out that seal. I did end up installing a seal on the top part of the garage door to make up for that. So if you are considering the cab and you have an 8-foot door, you might have to modify the seal, but it should fit into your garage. Okay, so the 4-in-1 bucket, we mentioned that it does 4 jobs in 1 bucket. It does require a 3rd hydraulic line running to the front. It does split, so you've got your grapples here that allows you to grab, hold of trees or brush or whatever you'd like to do. You've got your box blade here that you can push with. You can also back drag with this one right here, and then you can close it up to use it like a regular bucket to transport material. So it doesn't do any of the jobs as good as the regular attachment, minus maybe the bucket. It does that about just as good of a job. But the box blade, back dragging, as well as the grapple, the regular attachments will do it better than this one. This is a good alternative to buying all 4, so it will be a little bit of a cost saver, but just know that it won't do any of those perfectly or as you want it. Overall, I've been happy with the 2016 4052R. For what I need it to do, it does the trick. I will say that I thought this tractor would be way more horsepower than I would ever need, but it does turn out that the kind of old tractor adage of buy as much horsepower as your money allows you to do is pretty true. You'll always find a job that exceeds the amount of horsepower that the tractor is meant for or designed for. For example, when we're taking down some huge oaks and we're trying to move and drag the root balls that weigh 4,000 or 5,000 pounds, it's probably a little bit too much for this compact tractor. The cab version is pretty nice for kind of luxury, but it definitely is not needed. When you're only putting in, like me, 100 hours, 200 hours a year, you can do without the AC or the heat. But if you have a little bit of a higher budget, that allows you a little bit more flexibility. That cab with the AC and the heat and the radio is pretty nice for those rainy days or those hot days in July when you're out there working on the field and you don't want to get all dusty and nasty. That cab does come in handy. If I were to do this again, I would probably get a different brand backhoe attachment. The tractor's been pretty good, but the backhoe attachment I think leaves a little bit to be wanted. The self-leveling, I have used those before on other tractors. Again, this one, the H180, doesn't have the self-leveling bucket. If you're going to be doing a lot of pallet work, the self-leveling bucket, probably comes in handy. We do switch out to our pallets a lot, but it's not that often, so I can get by without any self-leveling and just do it the old manual way, rocking it side to side, lifting it back, rocking it side to side to adjust. The thing that I wish John Deere did have, though, would be, I don't know what they would call it, but a self-leveling front end loader, so that when you want to do grading and you want it leveled, that the arms would automatically adjust up and down. The technology in the 4052 leaves a little bit to be wanted. That does mean there are less things to break, but it would be nice and convenient to have a little bit more technology in the John Deere.